After reviewing the symptoms and coming up with the decision criteria, the best alternatives were chosen. The first decision criteria was to assess the business environment to identify where the industry was headed. From the alternatives, we chose to conduct the audit as to identify where the industry was headed. Based off of this, DSM found that the oil industry was no longer growing, but opportunities were available in performance material sectors and life science sectors. The second decision criteria was to develop a strategy to diversify DSM's portfolio. From the alternatives, we chose to go forth with this because of the change in the industry. We chose to diversify via acquisition, which would give DSM access to knowledge about the industry they don't have, as well as a market that has already been penetrated by the company they just acquired. This diversification would expand their portfolio and increase their sales over the next 10 years by at least 10%, and as well as they could enter into new markets. The third decision criteria was to divest slow growth sectors. Based off the business environment audit, the petroleum sector was divested to generate capital for investment in new sectors such as the life science. The fourth decision criteria was to build a new ICT strategy that would aid in the acquisitions that DSM made. This would also reduce the amount of downtime from integrating these new acquisitions into DSM's infrastructure. The ICT strategy was headed by a new CIO with previous experience, which would help DSM standardize IT infrastructure to reduce the amount of downtime when integrating the new acquisitions. The fifth decision criteria was to promote the DSM logo heavily in the new acquisition. Since newly acquired employees were unsure of their placement, DSM promoted their logo extensively to embrace them and make them identify with DSM more readily. This was also to weed out any people not on board with the new acquisition. These decision criteria were then they were implemented over the next 33 months, and after these 33 months, the implementation plan was finalized with the evaluation of the implementation plan to see if there were any shortcomings to the plan or if the plan went according to plan or not.